Frank J. Avella with the Contending. Celebrated playwright and filmmaker Marco Calvani is now making quite the thespian splash in the hilarious Netflix comedy The Four Seasons, opposite Tina Fey and Coleman Domingo. Welcome, Marco.
Thank you, Frank. What a pleasure to be back here with you.
Likewise. Successful playwright, successful filmmaker, and now scene-stealing actor. What's going on?
I mean, if you say so, what's going on exactly? That's what I've been asking myself for the past 12 months. It's been it's been quite a shock for me too. I quit acting 16 years ago. Nothing official. It's not that I signed papers like I'm not acting anymore, but I just happily switched from, once I discover writing and directing, acting. There was no room for acting. Also, writing and directing takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, sometimes a lot of money too. And there was no other time left for me to invest in my acting career. And honestly, I didn't want to. I just felt that everything that I've learned through my acting training got me to writing and then directing, and I was just fine until one morning, Coleman Domingo calls me asking me if I'm still an actor, and of course, I said no because I wasn't. And they asked me if I was open to put myself on tape. I asked him, "What is it?" And he didn't. He preferred not to say. But I thought it was something like, okay, Mr. Domingo, who we are friends, of course. Coleman and I are friends, so it's not like he called me because he found my he found me on the internet. Uh, he had this vision. His husband had it, and so knowing that they are producers and he's a director, he has a lot of projects. I'm like, he probably needs an Italian guy who just say pizza, margherita, lasagne, cha cha cha. And why not? Wouldn't you do it for a friend? Yes. So I said, yes, of course, I'm gonna put myself on tape. And then this thing came 2 days later through my manager, and I'm like, this is what? So it took me a minute to tape. I'm like, also, I was on a writing retreat, writing my next script. I'm like, what is happening? So I taped, I sent at the very last minute, and they liked it, and they called me back, and they liked me even more. And in 2 weeks, I had the part,
I
and
love.
no nepotism. Like is I remember then I discovered that Tina had I made the final. There were others, and then Tina spoke to Coleman, and they said, your friend Marco is making it to the end. Like I went through the whole casting process, and then I just had to accept this gift because how can you not call it a gift? Look who I'm playing opposite to. I mean, it's insane.
So, what was it like then? Because it's such a fascinating story. What was it like then to show up on set for that very first taping?
I don't think I was breathing properly until the end of day one. It was, I mean, first of all, I think everyone would be nervous to show up at 6 a.m. and have the very first scene with Tina Fey. And then the next one with Steve Carell and Will Forte and Coleman Domingo. Like all I could see was this crown around me saying, "Imposter, you're an imposter. What are you doing here?" But also, I hadn't acted in a long time. I hadn't acted in a long time. So there was also that part that I just felt like I had to double double up my own, preparation. And so I was very, very nervous and tense, only to discover that Tina was as nervous as much as I was, and then 3 days before actually starting shooting, I read Donald Sutherland had passed that last summer, and I remember I read an article about him, and he was or an interview, and he was saying that every day, every first day on his shoot, the day before he couldn't sleep and he was vomiting, like he had nausea, he had like he was throwing up. So I'm like, wow, Donald Sutherland feels like that every day. Then I went to set and I saw Tina nervous, and I was like, okay, I I'm good. And not only that, everybody's so nice. Everybody, especially Tina, who, she's the other day I call her, you're our matriarch because she really brought us all together. Um, she made me feel like I was welcome. I had the right to be there. Of course, the presence of Coleman, who's a friend already, also helped. But it's just a beautiful group of people.
Hmm.
There was no ego. Everybody was there just to have a good time, and that was also Tina's intention to build a group of people who just want to work in a very loving, generous way. And I think she succeeded in that.
Oh, absolutely. There, it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. Um, Speak to me a little bit about Claude and about creating Claude and how much input you might have had.
Well, it's so funny because I never I never worked that way, which is, I mean, maybe 16 years ago things were done differently. I even forgot, but I got the job. I didn't even know who Claude really was, right? I mean, there were no scripts.
Hmm.
And we did the first reading of the first two episodes probably a month and a half later after I got the job. And I discovered the first two episodes. And 2 weeks later, I discovered episode three and four. So I discovered Claude while I was preparing for it. Like it was so, which is sounds alarming, but is also very charming. It's you have all the time in the world to you're like, oh, you put pieces together and pieces together. You're trying to understand. And I remember thinking at the very beginning that all I could see was how it seemed to me a little dumb. And I'm like, I don't want to, I know it's not dumb at all, but
Hmm.
this was my resistance as an actor. I was, my resistance, I was nervous, like all I could see was that I couldn't see immediately what's underneath this loving, ultra loving person who cannot afford to lose Danny, who cannot afford to lose his love and his relationship, not just because, actually, not because he's a stay-at-home husband and then he's really the one who works and takes care of. I mean, he brings money home. It's not about that. It's just he the Claude's identity is defined by the love he carries for his husband. Is like, and this, I think this is, there's nothing dumb about it. It's actually one of the most beautiful things one could possibly do in the life, right? Take care of someone else.
Yeah.
And later I am also understood, and that also something that I can personally relate to, although I'm not that anxious and I'm not that needy as Claude might be. But as an immigrant, and Claude is an immigrant, he's the only immigrant is the in the story, right? And so as an immigrant, it's very hard to explain, but there's always like you always feel you have to earn your place,
Yeah.
with the people, with the colleagues, and in the special scenario, in the specific scenario, Claude is the last one who arrives, who joins this group of friends. They all know each other for so long. So there's also the added element, right? That he feels that he doesn't belong and he has to learn the love of Kate and Nick and all these friends, on top of being worried about keeping his relationship alive now more than ever, that Danny's changing, is going through a transformation, he has health issues, and he is not doing well, is
Yeah.
not accepting this transformation, this change in his life. And also now that and ends are splitting up, so wow, that option is on the table for all of us now. So he is Coleman says at some point, Claude lives in an opera. It is true. He feels everything so intensely. And, that's ground for comedy. Come on.
Oh my
Uh,
God, yeah. My God, yeah. But
I
he's
mean,
not
how can
but
you?
he's not a stereotype. He's not an Italian stereotype, and I love that about him.
I'm so glad because I didn't. I felt that for me was my biggest challenge and my fear. And as an actor, I'm like, I don't want to. At first, I don't want to portray. I want to try not to portray the same kind of flamboyant middle-aged gay man that we've seen already on TV. And I certainly don't also want to portray this Italian stereotype. So how can I combine these two fears and make Claude happen also out of this, out of these personal, it's not fears, but it's challenges that I had to face as an actor. You know, every time I got lost into this thinking, I just had to go back to the script.
Hmm.
The script was that they were so layered, and there's such a perfect balance of funny and dark and poignant moments and extremely hilarious ones that I just had to trust the material. And that was really a great guideline anytime I was lost. And and I feel that the more I feel the audience will, I hope they will have the same kind of experience where that I had while, the more I got to know Claude, the more I was receiving every time I was receiving a new script, I was like, oh, I'm going deeper here. I'm going deeper here. Oh, look, it's actually more articulate. Oh, there's this and that. Oh, I, I get it now. And I can only hope that the audience will have the same kind of, I wouldn't say epiphany, but the same kind of experience with Claude and the rest of the characters too.
I think they will. It's an interesting journey that Claude takes, and the other characters as well. But for him, it does get more layered because he does start out in a place where you're like, uh-oh, is this what we've seen before? And then he's not, which actually brings me to queer representation and the queer storyline, which is so important right now. Let's face it, with everything going on in the world. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Oh, thank. I feel so blessed that I can portray an openly gay character who's in a with all the problems they have, but who's in a happy marriage, and also if I mean is in a gay marriage, is in a relationship that faces and problems that are common to every single relationships, no matter if they're gay or heterosexual. So I think it's so important right now to portray stories like that, and that I'm called to do that, like that I was invited to put all my whole face and body. I feel scared, to be honest,
Mhm.
because at the times like that, now that I will be officially publicly gay for the whole world, of course it's scary because I feel unsafe out there. At the same time, I want to believe this is my place of resistance in a way, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I cannot. I'm not lying to you. I'm like, can I go on the street and protest? I'm on a green card. Should I be afraid? Should I not go? And I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't go, or maybe I can still go. But you know what? Definitely, the portraying Claude, it is my resistance right now to put my face out there and being proudly gay and in love and silly and fun and thoughtful and generous. Isn't it resistance?
Yeah, well, and what an empowering time for you. When we spoke about high tide, everybody go see high tide. You talked about how it was the first time you really wrote about queer life.
Yes, I've been a gay man all my life, as far as I can remember. And I've been a storyteller for most of it. And yet hardly put gay characters at the center of my story until High Tide. And only at the end of it, I mean, I'm probably repeating myself from the time we spoke, but I didn't realize how much homophobia I was carrying within me. Speak Italian, conservative family and country, and I didn't even realize because I've been free all my life. I made my own choices. I decided, I didn't have anybody to impose a certain code of conduct, because I was living by myself by the time I was 18. So, but yet that was so ingrained and it really defined most of my work. It defined most of my gay existence in the world as a gay man, the way I was putting myself out there. I was presenting myself and my body too. I was like completely drenched in a very also patriarchal way of being gay,
Mm.
which it seems like a contradiction but in terms, but I feel unfortunately we we obliged to rules that we don't even as a gay community, we live in these societies and these societies are ruled by patriarchy. So
Yeah.
I was so ignorant about that and making eye tight, making it with the man I love the most, who became my husband, who's brilliantly, who brilliantly leads the cast of High Tide. That really enabled, it started a process, a healing process for me, and of which probably for season is a very surprising evolution of it.
So are you prepared for the acting offers that are going to come your way, and will you consider them?
No, no. To be honest, I still feel my most comfortable place is behind the camera, but just because I just love writing. I just love creating. I have like 17 stories right now. They leave him. I'm just so comfortable in living my life with all these characters that populate me, populate my brain, and then try to make a movie happen or a play. And that's instinctively, that's who I am. If I have to define myself, that's. But I'm not lying to you. I mean, I'd be very happy to do season two as a start. So if that's the first offer that comes, let it come, baby. I'm ready. I'm just no. We had such an amazing time. It's just a wonderful group of people, and we became friends. And I'm looking forward to it. I hope we get it.
I have a
Um,
feeling it's going to happen, and that last moment is a setup for season two. Let's face it.
don't spoil
Oh, I'm not
it.
going
But,
to,
but
but
I remember when I read it, I'm like, I like you genius. You, yeah, I go, wow. And it just, yeah, it's wonderful, huh? It's like what a major hook.
yeah. I will leave, but I have to ask the next film that you make, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Mm, I have three scripts ready to
Oh,
go.
okay.
Yeah, and they're all at different stages. One, there's a producer attached. We're out for actresses. One, we don't have a producer, but we have the actor. So I don't really know which one is gonna be my next one. And it might sound crazy, but I've always worked this way. And then I learned that, especially in the film industry, it's better if you work on multiple projects at the same time because you don't know it takes so much to make a movie, not just in terms of money, but time and to find the right people, the right collaborators. So I really don't know what's going to be my next, but I can tell you this that I hope I hope my next one will be the one that my immediate next one. I hope will be the one that's about, in a very implicit way, about the theater world. and yes, and that it's more female centric than the High Tide for sure. So I can't tell you much. And I also can tell you that it's more the departure from High Tide. It has more comedic vibes. I would say it's more of a dramedy than, High Tide is very contemporary, it's very dramatic. So I think it's more of a departure from that. It's
I
not as comedic as Four Seasons probably, but I think I can bring some of that what I've learned in first season into this new film. Let's
That
see.
sounds exciting. Fingers crossed. Quick question. Did you get to see the Alda film, the 1981 Alda film?
Not yet, not yet. Actually, Kenny Silver, our Anne in the show, she told me the other day that she has the Blu-ray disc because it's not available anymore online, and I looked for it like a desperate person when I first had to tape, and then when I got cast, but it wasn't available anymore. So I just at some point I made peace with it. I was like, I think it's a sign. I don't have to do it. I don't have to see it. I have to just create my own version of Rita Moreno, my own version of Claudia.
Yeah.
Uh, and but now I'm dying to watch it. Now I think I can watch it.
Now I look forward to hearing
So
what you have to say.
I'm gonna borrow Carrie's DVD and I'll let you know.
Please do. Marco, thank you for taking the time out. May 1st on Netflix, people.
People, May 1st, Four Seasons.
Grazie mille.
Prego. Ciao.
Ciao.